So for the first time, we've been able to talk about our region as one place within all these great, beautiful communities that surround us. So we've been able to position this in a way to help people see that when they're away from home and they talk about home, they'll talk about places that may not literally be in their backyard. So it's those outdoor, beautiful rivers and lakes and rocks that they climb and trails that they hike, or even where their place of employment is. It might not be literally in their backyard, but it is a part of the region. So that's always been here. It's always going to be here after we're gone, but never before have we tried to do engagement on a regional scale. And so that's the second piece, and that's the engagement piece. And it's not anything that's new to this region. Citizen engagement completely changed the face of the city of Chattanooga and many communities throughout our region because they engaged the people in shaping the future of that community. So engagement isn't a new concept, but what was new was doing engagement on a regional scale. So when you went from the most rural, rustic countryside places in our region to the most vibrant, active, busy life of our city and the cities all around us, did we have something in common? And then take it one step further. We were dealing with a tri-state region. So we were dealing with 3 states. And are we going to have something in common with Georgia? And is Georgia going to have something in common with Alabama? And is Tennessee going to have something in common with Georgia? I mean, it's just, you look around, you go, are we really going to be able to find a common ground? And so it was a bold and ambitious task to start out with. The vision itself, what really got people thinking about why we should do it in the first place, started when 2008 you have Volkswagen coming into the Chattanooga community. And so the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce organized an inner-city visit trip. And they took this group of people, and for this inner-city visit, they invited people from outside of Chattanooga. They invited people from Dalton, from Cleveland, from all around to go to Greenville, South Carolina, Spartanburg, South Carolina, and get lessons learned from them on what happened after a German auto manufacturing plant landed in their back door. And in that case, it was BMW. So they just wanted to get lessons learned and be a little ahead of the curve on that. And as a result, what they heard was, you've got to get together and you got to plan with your next door neighbor. The significant thing about having an auto manufacturing plant come into your community is that it doesn't just bring that one plant and those jobs, but the ripple effect that occurs. The suppliers suddenly all are going to want to be located as close in proximity to that plant as possible because that means they get the business. And so that ripple effect of those suppliers coming in is significant. But those suppliers aren't all going to locate in that one city. So they're going to be locating all around you. So if you don't start talking about the workforce, talking about your communities, talking about the natural beauty that you might want to preserve, if you don't start talking about that on a regional scale, you're missing the boat. So that happened in 2008, and then in 2010, there was a regional consortium of partners that was formed to begin figuring out what are we going to do about this. So they dealt with things like, where's the funding for this going to go? How are we going to raise the funding? They raised public-private dollars in order to do it. They had a very strong desire to want to bring both private and public sectors to the table, which has been of historic significance to this region for decades. And so that was a key thing. And then they selected a consultant team, and it took it to where we are today. It was a 5-year process to get to the place we are today.
And then what comes next?
So where we are today is the action phase. The first 2 years of this process was planning and listening. And before you're ever going to go out and create an action strategy, before you ever do that, you first had to know, what does the community want? And that, again, is why this is so citizen-led. We did not know what action strategies, we didn't know what initiatives we were going to have at the end of the day. We truly wanted to get out there and say, what are our issues on a regional scale, and what are the things that we want to preserve and value on a regional scale? This wasn't just about one city. This was about 79 cities and 16 counties and 3 states that all have a whole lot in common. And so, in order to do that, we had to go out and ask those questions and engage, and then get data that had never been pulled before, education attainment levels, biodiversity hotspots. We have 4,295 species here in the region of life species, one of the highest in the country. I mean, all these things we didn't know before now. So through that process, we identified the things that mattered most because of what we heard from people in the region. And so now we've developed an action strategy that's based around 4 key initiatives that we see as the initial launch of the action plan for the next 40 years. We developed a vision statement that says we want to be a place of educated people with good jobs living in a great place. That's something that no matter where you are in the region, people can stand behind. So now how are we going to do that? And that's the action strategy. And that's what we're calling our compass. And so when you take a journey, you've got to have a tool to help you know if you're heading in the right direction or not. And so our compass outlines those specific things that we want to start working on now, knowing that those initiatives are going to change with time, but with that compass, it will keep us headed towards that vision.